The sun was already sinking behind the tall buildings of Lagos, painting the sky with orange and purple light. The traffic horn screamed, downfall buses raced past one another, and people hurried home after a long day. But in the middle of all that noise, there was a strange silence in one corner of the street. It was because of the girl. People who walked past her slowed down. Some even stopped to look back. She was standing near a small boutique, her face half hidden by the shade of the shop's awning. She wasn't selling anything. She wasn't talking to anyone. She was just standing there, as if waiting for something or someone. At first glance, she looked like any other young woman in the city. She wore a neat white blouse tucked into black trousers. Her hair was braided in small, shiny lines that touched her shoulders. But her eyes were not normal. They glowed. Not in the way a phone screen glows in the dark, not like a reflection of car headlights. These eyes had a deep, sharp brightness, like burning coal. And yet, the glow wasn't red. It was white, icy white, as if two frozen flames were hiding inside her. Nobody dared to go close. Mothers pulled their children away. Taxi drivers spat 3 times to the ground and muttered prayers. Old men hissed under their breath and crossed to the other side of the road. Her name was Amara. She hadn't always been like this. She hadn't been born with those eyes. Only a week ago, she had been a normal 23-year-old student of Unilag, living in the crowded hostel, laughing with her friends, scrolling through Instagram, and dreaming of becoming a fashion designer. But then she bought the contact lenses. It started innocently. Amara had always loved fashion, makeup, and beauty. She wanted to stand out. She wanted people to notice her. Her friends wore colored contact lenses: blue, hazel, gray. Sometimes at parties, they looked like movie stars. Amara saved up some money from the little tailoring job she did, and when she heard about a shop in Baligan Market that sold special contact lenses, she rushed there. The shop was strange. It wasn't like the usual market shops that shouted with life. There was no music playing, no hawkers calling customers. The shop was quiet, hidden between 2 old buildings. A narrow wooden sign hung over the door. It didn't have a name, only the picture of an eye. Inside, it smelled of dust and something like dried blood. The walls were filled with shelves of tiny glass cases. Each case held pairs of contact lenses, shining faintly in the dim light. Some were red, some golden, some black as night. Behind the counter sat an old man with skin pale as chalk and lips as dry as cracked leather. His accent was not Nigerian. When Amara asked where he was from, he only smiled, showing thin yellow teeth. "You want eyes that people will never forget," he said slowly, his voice like dry leaves. Amara nodded eagerly. He brought out a small case. Inside were 2 clear white contact lenses, brighter than glass. They seemed to glow faintly, even though the room was dark. "These are not for everyone," he warned. "They will give you beauty, but beauty comes with a price." Amara didn't care about the warning. She only thought of how perfect they would look at her friend's birthday party the next weekend. She paid quickly, clutching the small case in her hand like treasure. That night in the hostel, she tried them on. The moment they touched her eyes, a sharp pain burned through her skull. She screamed and fell on the bed, clutching her face. Her roommate, Ifeoma, ran to her side, but when Amara opened her eyes again, the scream died in Ifeoma's throat. The lenses had melted into her eyes. And her eyes now glowed. At first, Amara was scared. She tried to remove them, but nothing worked. Water, soap, even rubbing it was as if the lenses were part of her. But soon, she forgot her fear. The next morning, when she walked to class, everyone stared. Some boys whispered her name with awe. Girls turned their heads with envy. Strangers followed her with their eyes. For the first time, Amara felt truly seen. But the glory didn't last. By the 3rd day, she began to notice strange things. At night, she couldn't sleep. Her body shivered with cold, no matter how many blankets she used. When she looked in the mirror, her reflection sometimes moved slower than her real body. Worse still, she started to hear voices. They whispered from nowhere, filling her head with laughter that wasn't hers. Sometimes they called her name softly, like a lover. Other times, they ordered her to do things, look at him, stare into her eyes, touch that man's hand. When she obeyed, people acted strangely. A girl who argued with her in class suddenly fainted after Amara looked into her eyes. A downfall driver who insulted her on the street lost control of his bus after she glared at him. Even her closest friend Ifeoma began avoiding her, fear in her eyes. By the seventh day, Amara could no longer hide it. She walked the street at sunset, glowing eyes fixed on the world, waiting for something she couldn't name. People felt the evil around her, though they didn't know why. Children cried when she passed. Dogs barked wildly. Even the busy Lagos street slowed down as she stood near the boutique, her strange eyes scanning every face. Then it happened. A little boy, no more than 6 years old, broke free from his mother's hand and wandered too close. He was carrying a small ball, smiling innocently. When his eyes met Amara's, he froze. His ball dropped to the ground. His tiny mouth opened as if to scream, but no sound came out. Amara's lips curved into a smile she didn't recognize as her own. The voices inside her head whispered louder, demanding more, hungry. And just as the mother screamed the boy's name, rushing forward, the streetlights above flickered, then went out. Darkness swallowed the entire street, and only Amara's glowing white eyes could be seen in the night. The evil lenses had finally awakened. The whole street shook with panic. When the lights went out, people screamed. Some ran into shops, others pulled their children close and started praying loudly. Drivers left their cars in the middle of the road and bolted. Lagos, a city that never feared noise, was suddenly filled with the kind of silence that tasted like fear. But in that darkness, only 2 white lights remained Amara's eyes. The little boy in front of her could not move. His mother pulled and dragged, but his legs were stiff, rooted to the ground as though invisible chains held him there. His lips trembled, his eyes wide with terror, staring into Amara's glowing gaze. Amara herself was trembling. Not because she was afraid, but because the voices inside her head had grown louder. They were whispering in different tones, hundreds of voices, some male, some female, some sounding like children, others like very old people. Take him. Feed us. Let his soul open the door. Her hands began to rise on their own. She wanted to stop, to close her eyes, to run away, but her body was no longer listening. Her glowing eyes widened, and suddenly a white mist began to pour out of the boy's mouth. His mother shrieked. People watching from a distance screamed and ran even faster. Some called it witchcraft, others shouted about marine spirits. In a city where everyone believed in something god, juju, curses, charms, nobody could deny what they were seeing. The mist floated toward Amara's eyes, and as it touched her, she felt power surge through her body. For a moment, her legs no longer ached from standing. Her skin tightened, her chest expanded, and her heart beat with terrifying strength. The boy collapsed. The mother grabbed him, crying and calling his name, shaking his limp body. The crowd that had gathered refused to come closer. Some people had already pulled out their phones and were recording, their shaky voices whispering. See her eyes. No demon, I swear. God forbid. Then, suddenly, the lights flickered back on. Cars honked again. Street vendors shouted. But for everyone who had seen what happened, the city would never be the same. Amara blinked, panting, and in that moment, she came back to herself. She saw the crying woman on the floor, shaking her child. She saw the fearful eyes staring at her from across the street. And for the first time, she realized that whatever those contact lenses were, they were not made for beauty. They were made for evil. She ran. Her legs carried her blindly through the crowded Lagos streets, past traffic jams, past shouting conductors, past the smoky suya stands. Her heart pounded as she weaved between people, but no matter how far she went, the voices inside her head followed. You can't run, Amara. You belong to us now. Tonight is only the beginning. Tears blurred her vision, but even as they rolled down her cheeks, they glowed faintly white, like tiny sparks of light. People she passed gasped and pointed. Some hissed. Others prayed out loud. By the time she reached her hostel, her legs were shaking. She slammed the door shut, locked it, and collapsed against the wall, clutching her chest. Her roommate Ifeoma jumped up from the bed, startled. Amara, where have you been? Everybody is talking about you. Social media don't scatter videos of your eyes are everywhere. Amara buried her face in her hands. I didn't mean to. I didn't do it on purpose. Ifeoma stared at her, her voice trembling. Amara, what is happening to you? Slowly, Amara lifted her head. Her eyes glowed even brighter in the dim room, and Ifeoma stepped back, covering her mouth. They won't stop whispering to me, Amara said in a cracked voice. These lenses, they won't come out. They are alive. Ifeoma pressed her back against the wall. God forbid. You have to remove them. We'll go to the hospital. They are not just lenses. Amara screamed, her voice shaking the room. They feed on people. For a long moment, both girls stared at each other. Ifeoma's hands shook as she whispered, this is not ordinary. You need a pastor, not a doctor. Amara wanted to laugh, but the voices in her head started laughing first. She pressed her palms against her ears, but it didn't help. The whispers grew louder. Take her too. She is close. One touch is enough. No. Amara shouted, stumbling to her feet. Leave her alone. Ifeoma's eyes widened. Who are you talking to? Before Amara could answer, the bulb in the room flickered and went off. The entire hostel fell into darkness. From the outside, shouts of students echoed, complaining about NEPA taking light again. But inside Amara's room, a pale white glow remained the glow of her eyes. She backed away into the corner, calling into herself, sobbing. I don't want this. I don't want this anymore. But the whispers only grew stronger. And then, in the darkness, something moved. A shadow, tall and thin, began to stretch across the wall. It didn't belong to either of them. Its arms were too long, its fingers sharp like claws. It leaned down, its head bent unnaturally, until its face hovered near Amara's glowing eyes. Ifeoma gasped and stumbled backward, almost tripping over the chair. The shadow whispered in a voice deeper than all the others. The door is open now. You are ours. Amara screamed, and her scream was not human. It sounded like glass shattering and metal scraping at once. The whole hostel shook. Girls from other rooms began to shout and bang on the door. But when they forced it open a few minutes later, Amara was gone. The only thing left in the room was the smell of dust, a faint white glow on the floor, and Ifeoma, lying unconscious, her lips moving as if whispering to someone invisible. Somewhere in the night, far away from the hostel, Amara was running again, her glowing eyes guiding her through the dark streets of Lagos, the whispers pushing her towards something even more terrifying than what she had just seen. The evil contact lenses were only beginning to reveal their true power. Lagos never truly sleeps. Even at midnight, the streets breathe with restless energy, hawkers selling roasted corn by the roadside, taxis honking for last passengers, music booming from distant clubs. But that night, as Amara stumbled through the city, Lagos felt different. Everywhere she turned, people avoided her. Some crossed the road, others whispered and pointed, some even cursed under their breath. Her glowing eyes were impossible to hide. She pulled her scarf up, but the light still leaked through, a white fire burning on the thin cloth. The voices inside her head were stronger now. They no longer whispered, only they argued, laughed, screamed, sang. Some voices begged her to give in. Others promised her power. One even promised her wealth beyond imagination. But all of them agreed on one thing. Go to the market. Baligan, the old shop. He is waiting. Amara's feet obeyed before her mind could protest. She didn't even know how she arrived at Baligan market. 1 minute she was on the highway, dodging Okadas, the next she was standing at the entrance of the silent, shadowy rows of stalls. The market was not supposed to be open that late. Yet the gates stood wide, and the narrow paths between shops seemed alive with whispers. The same strange shop was there, hidden between two buildings. The wooden sign with the painted eye swung gently, though there was no wind. Amara swallowed hard. Every part of her wanted to run. But her legs carried her forward. She pushed the door open. Inside, the pale old man was waiting. His lips curved into a thin smile when he saw her glowing eyes. "Oh, you returned." Amara's chest tightened. "What have you done to me? You asked for beauty. You asked to be seen. Now, the world cannot look away." His voice was calm, too calm, like someone who had been waiting for this moment all along. "I didn't ask for this. People are afraid of me, children collapse when they see me, shadows follow me." Amara screamed, her voice shaking. The man chuckled. "That is not a curse, child. That is power." Amara's hands trembled. "Take it back. I don't want it anymore." The man's pale eyes glittered. "It cannot be taken back. The lenses are not just glass, they are a bridge. You put them in willingly. You opened the door." Amara shook her head violently. No, I didn't know what I was doing." The man leaned forward, his breath smelling of iron. "Knowledge does not matter. Choice does. And you chose." The voices in Amara's head laughed together. Her knees weakened. She dropped into a chair, clutching her head. "Why me?" she whispered. The man tilted his head, almost kindly. "Because you wanted to be more than ordinary. That hunger in your heart called us. Lagos is full of hungry souls, but yours shine the brightest. You wanted eyes that no one could ignore. Now the world will see you, until it bows before you." Amara shivered. "I don't want the world to bow. I just want my life back." The man's smile faded. "Then you must pay." Amara froze. "Pay? Pay what? Every gift has a price. You can keep fighting us, but each time you resist, the hunger will grow. Or you can surrender and feed us. Souls will keep you alive, strong, beautiful. Refuse, and you will burn from the inside until nothing is left." Amara's throat went dry. The memory of the boy collapsing flashed in her mind. She wanted to vomit. "No," she whispered. "I'll never feed you. I'll never hurt anyone again." The man leaned back, his expression unreadable. "Then run, Amara. Run as long as you can. But remember, when the hunger finally breaks you, you will return. They always return." His words echoed like thunder in her skull. She staggered out of the shop, gasping for air. The market felt darker now, as if the shadows were closing in. She ran again, though she didn't know where. By dawn, she found herself near the third mainland bridge. The sky was grey, the water below restless. People hurried past, heading to walk, ignoring her trembling figure. But one man stopped. He was tall, with skin dark as midnight and a beard streaked with grey. His clothes were plain, but his eyes were sharp, watching her with unusual calm. "You are carrying something that doesn't belong to you," he said softly. Amara froze. What? I saw the videos. I recognized the signs. Those lenses, they are not lenses. They are vessels. You've been chosen as a doorway. Amara's voice cracked. Who are you? He glanced around before stepping closer. My name is Chike. I hunt these things. Her heart pounded. You believe me? Chike nodded. I've seen it before. The man you met in that market shop, he's not human. He's one of them. He gives out cursed objects, each one a trap, each one opening doors. You are not the first, Amara. But you can be the last, if you help me. Amara's knees buckled. For the first time since this nightmare began, someone believed her. Tears filled her glowing eyes. Help you how? She whispered. Chike's jaw tightened. We must destroy the shop, and him with it. But first, you must fight what's inside you. You must resist the hunger, no matter the cost. Amara's stomach twisted. The voices inside her laughed mockingly. You cannot resist. You are ours. You will betray him. Amara pressed her hands against her ears, shaking her head. I don't know if I can. Chike placed a firm hand on her shoulder. His grip was steady, grounding her. You must. Because if you don't, Lagos will drown in shadows. They will spread through you, and soon the whole city will belong to them. The traffic roared behind them, the lagoon stretched endlessly below, and Amara's glowing eyes flickered in the grey morning light. For the first time, she realized her nightmare was not just about her anymore. It was about everyone. And she had a choice to make: surrender to the evil inside her, or fight alongside this stranger who claimed to know the truth. The fate of Lagos rested on that choice. The morning sun rose higher, washing Lagos in gold. The city moved as if nothing had happened the night before, hawkers shouting about gala and minerals, buses packed with passengers, office workers hurrying in neat shirts and high heels. But for Amara, the world had already changed. Her eyes glowed faintly even in the brightness of day. She wrapped a scarf tightly around her face, but she could feel people staring anyway. The voices in her head whispered non-stop, like 1,000 radio stations tuned in at once. Beside her, Chike walked with calm confidence. His steps were steady, his gaze sharp. He carried a small black bag strapped across his shoulder. It didn't look heavy, but from the way he held it, Amara could tell it wasn't an ordinary bag. They stopped under a bridge, away from the rush of traffic. Chike turned to face her. Listen carefully, he said, his voice low. The man you met is not human. He is what we call an Ashawo spirit, an ancient being that feeds on desire and hunger. He uses cursed objects to trap people. Those contact lenses are one of his doors. Amara's chest tightened. Why me? You were desperate to be seen, Chike said gently. That desperation called to him. He looks for people with open wounds, loneliness, envy, pride. Once you take his gift, he owns a piece of you. Amara swallowed hard, her throat dry. Then, how do I stop him? How do I get these things out of my eyes? Chike's gaze hardened. You don't. Not yet. The only way is to face him and destroy the vessel he gave you. If we break the connection, his hold on you will weaken. But it won't be easy. The voices inside her head hissed angrily. Don't listen to him. He will betray you. Feed us instead. Amara pressed her palms against her ears. They won't stop. They keep talking, they won't leave me alone. Chike stepped closer, placing both hands firmly on her shoulders. His voice was steady, commanding. Look at me, Amara. Ignore them. They are noisy. They only have power if you listen. Right now, you are stronger than them. Remember that. For a moment, his calmness reached her. The voices didn't disappear, but they softened, like whispers from far away. She took a shaky breath and nodded. Good, Chike said. Then we begin tonight. Amara's eyes widened. Tonight? Yes. Midnight. That's when his power is strongest. And it's also when he's most vulnerable. If we are going to end this, we must end it in his own den, the shop. Fear flooded her chest. What if I lose control? What if I hurt someone again? Chike's jaw tightened. Then I'll stop you. I promise. The way he said it made her shiver. Not because he sounded threatening, but because he sounded so certain. The day crawled slowly. Amara stayed hidden in Chike's small apartment near Yoba. The walls were covered with strange symbols drawn in chalk. There were bottles filled with herbs, little wooden carvings, and old books stacked on a table. Chike prepared quietly, mixing powders into small gourds, sharpening a short machete, and arranging charms wrapped in red cloth. Amara sat in a corner, hugging her knees, watching him. Who taught you all this? She asked softly. Chike didn't look up. My father. And his father before him. We are hunters. Our job is to keep Lagos safe from things people don't want to believe exist. Amara frowned. But Lagos is full of churches, mosques, prayers. How do these things still survive? Chike gave a small, tired smile. Because belief is not the same as understanding. People pray, yes. But they also hunger. And hunger always opens doors. Amara hugged herself tighter. Hunger had brought her here. Her own desire to be noticed, to stand out. She wished she could go back in time and slap herself before entering that shop. By evening, Chike handed her a small necklace. A piece of kola nut hung from it, tied with palm fibers. Wear this, he instructed. It will not stop the voices, but it will slow them down. And it will remind you that you are still human. Amara slipped it over her neck. The moment it touched her chest, the voices inside her head shrieked in anger. But then they softened, retreating to the corners of her mind. For the first time in days, she could think clearly. Thank you, she whispered. Chike nodded. Don't thank me yet. Night fell. The streets of Lagos glowed with streetlights and headlights. Music boomed from clubs, downfall buses still screeched for passengers, but for Amara and Chike, the city seemed quieter, like it was holding its breath. At exactly midnight, they stood before the shop again. The wooden sign with the painted eye swung gently in the night air. The market was silent. Too silent. No rats squeaked, no dogs barked. Even the wind seemed afraid. Chike handed Amara a small gourd filled with thick black liquid. If he tries to control you, drink this. It will burn, but it will remind your spirit of who you are. Her hands trembled as she took it. And if I can't fight him? Chike's machete gleamed faintly in the moonlight. Then I will finish it. Quickly. Amara's heart pounded. She wanted to run, but her feet refused to move. Slowly, she pushed the door open. The shop looked the same as before, dusty shelves, glass cases glowing faintly, the smell of blood and iron. But this time, it felt alive, like the walls themselves were breathing. And there he was. The pale old man sat behind the counter, smiling as though he had been expecting them. His yellow teeth gleamed in the dim light. Welcome back, child, he said softly. And you brought a hunter. How brave. Amara's body shivered. The voices in her head screamed with joy. Feed us. Open the door wider. Let the city burn. Chike stepped forward, his machete raised. Tonight it ends. No more doors. No more traps. Lagos is not your feeding ground. The old man chuckled. You think your charms will save you? Foolish hunter. She is already mine. Amara gasped as her body stiffened. Her hands lifted on their own, her glowing eyes locking onto Chike. The voices inside her laughed wildly. Her mouth opened, But it wasn't her voice that came out. It was theirs. She will kill you, Hunter. She belongs to us now. Chike's grip tightened on his machete. His eyes never left hers. Fight them, Amara. Remember who you are. Her body shook violently, torn between two forces: her desperate will to resist and the hungry power of the evil lenses. The shop trembled. Glass cases rattled. Shadows stretched along the walls. The battle for Amara's soul had begun. The shop shook as though an earthquake had struck. Glass cracked, dust filled the air, and the pale old man's laughter echoed from every corner. Amara's glowing eyes blazed like twin fires, and her body moved against her will, stepping toward Chike with dangerous intent. The voices inside her roared in triumph. Take him. Cut him down. His blood will open the city. Chike stood firm, machete raised, his face calm but his muscles tense. He looked straight into Amara's glowing eyes. Amara, he shouted, his voice carrying over the chaos, you are not them. You are not a vessel. You are a human being, a daughter, a dreamer. Remember why you came to Lagos. Remember your life before this. Amara screamed. Her mind was a battlefield. She saw flashes: her mother smile in their village, her hostel friends laughing over roasted plantain, her small tailoring jobs, the designs she sketched late into the night, her dreams of a fashion line that would carry her name. But the voices drowned it out. All lies, all weak dreams, power is yours now. Power and beauty forever. Her hands lifted higher, fingers curled as if ready to tear Chike apart. Her legs stepped forward against her will. Tears streamed down her glowing cheeks, white like burning salt. I don't want this, she cried. The old man's voice boomed, shaking the shelves. But you chose it. There is no going back. Chike quickly pulled something from his black bag, a small calabash sealed with red cloth. He smashed it on the ground. Smoke burst out, filling the shop with the bitter smell of burnt herbs. The voices shrieked in anger. The smoke swirled around Amara, and for a moment her body froze. She gasped for breath, falling to her knees. Now, Amara. Chike shouted. Drink it. Her trembling hand fumbled for the gourd he had given her earlier. She pulled the stopper and swallowed the thick black liquid. The taste was fire. It burned her throat, clawed through her stomach, and filled her veins with heat. She screamed as if her whole body was on fire. The voices howled in rage. No. Stop her. Do not let her remember. She is ours. But deep inside, under the fire and pain, Amara felt something else: her own voice. Small at first, then stronger. I am Amara. I am not your vessel. I am not your door. Her glowing eyes flared brighter than ever, filling the shop with blinding white light. The shelves shook, glass shattered, and the pale old man screamed, his voice no longer calm but full of fury. Chike charged forward, the machete raised high. The old man's skin cracked, revealing black smoke beneath. His hands stretched unnaturally long, claws reaching for Chike. But the hunter swung his machete, slashing through the creature's arm. The scream that followed was not human, it was like 10,000 voices crying at once. The walls shook harder, the floor split, and shadows poured out like water. Amara clutched her chest. The lenses burned hotter than fire, melting into her eyes. She thought she would die. But then she remembered the boy in the street, his small body collapsing, and his mother's crying. She remembered Ifeoma fainting on their hostel floor. No more, she whispered. You will not take anyone else. With all her strength, she dug her fingers into her glowing eyes. Pain exploded, but she didn't stop. She pulled, screamed, and at last, with a blinding flash, the lenses tore free. They dropped to the floor, still glowing like a living fire. The old man shrieked as if someone had ripped his heart out. His body burst apart into smoke, which swirled madly before vanishing into the cracks of the floor. The shelves collapsed, the glass melted, and the painted eye on the wooden sign outside split into two. The shop burned with white fire, but the fire did not spread outside. It consumed only the walls, the shelves, and the shadows. In moments, the cursed shop was gone, nothing left but dust and ashes. Amara lay on the ground, shaking, her eyes bleeding but no longer glowing. Chike knelt beside her, breathing heavily, his machete still in hand. "It's over," he said softly. "You fought them. You won." Amara's vision blurred. "Are they really gone?" Chike's expression was grave. "This one is gone. But others still exist. Lagos is full of them. And now," he looked at her carefully. "Now you know their taste. You are no longer an ordinary girl. That makes you a target but also a fighter, if you choose to be." Amara closed her eyes, exhausted. The silence in her head was deafening, but it was the sweetest silence she had ever known. When morning came, the market people found nothing but an empty space where the strange shop used to stand. Some said it had never been there. Others swore they had seen the girl with the glowing eyes destroy it with her scream. Rumors spread through Lagos like wildfire. Some called Amara a witch. Some called her a savior. But nobody could deny what they saw: the videos, the fear, the fire. Amara stayed hidden with Chike for weeks, recovering. Her eyes remained scarred, faint white lines running across them. She could see, but never the same way again. She carried the scars as a reminder. One night, as the city lights glowed across the lagoon, Chike asked her, "What will you do now? Go back to your old life? Pretend nothing happened?" Amara looked at the dark water, her fingers clutching the collar knot necklace. "No. My old life is gone. But maybe I can help stop others from falling like I did. Maybe I can fight with you." Chike gave a small smile. "Then welcome, Amara. Lagos will need you." Far away, in another hidden corner of the city, another pale man opened another shop. Inside his shelves, hundreds of cursed objects gleamed faintly, waiting for the next hungry soul. But this time, there would be hunters waiting. And Amara would be one of them. The evil contact lenses were destroyed, but the war for Lagos had only just begun. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.